The biggest selling album of 1998. Please welcome The Corrs.
How lucky we are to be doing what we're doing, to be working at something that we're talented at.
It really is a tremendous relief and a tremendous sense of fulfillment to have achieved as much as we have.
If you work hard enough, anything can happen. It is beyond our dreams.
We can play together, get on the stage, have the same dream, share in that. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. Feelings mutual. I swear it.
Hello there, my name's Nigel Dick. I was the director of Only When I Sleep and What Can I Do for the Corrs, and you are listening to CorrsCast.
Hi, and welcome to episode 25 of CorrsCast. I can't believe it's been 6 years, and that including specials, there's been 29 episodes produced. I'd always recommend going back and listening to previous episodes as they inform the interview questions as the seasons progress. Thanks to those of you that have been on this journey with me so far. For this episode, I had the great privilege of talking with director Nigel Dick. Nigel has an incredible back catalogue of videos to his name, with highlights that have included work with Guns N' Roses, Tears for Fears, Oasis, Britney Spears, Cher, and of course, the Corrs. We speak in depth about his journey starting out in the music industry, and the passion and skills he's developed to stay working until the current day. With a new book freshly written about some of his more memorable experiences, we thought this would be a great time to chat through what it was like to direct the music videos for Only When I Sleep and What Can I Do. Enjoy. Nigel, thank you so very much for agreeing to come on to the show, to come on to CorrsCast. I've had you in the back of my mind for quite a while, actually, to potentially ask you to come on. And it's such a joy that you've agreed, and here we are. So we get to discuss parts of your career that you may have not have spoken about before in any great depth or detail. And because of the time past, maybe you don't have that detail to hand. But a little birdie tells me that your memory is very good. So, Nigel, welcome to CorrsCast.
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry that I've been in the back of your mind for so long. I think there's medicine you can take for that.
There probably is.
I've actually, I've got a book coming out in September, and there was a chapter on the Corrs, and I'm afraid to say that my editor said they're not big enough in the US, and he's taken the chapter out. But hopefully, if I know the book is coming out in the UK, and hopefully one day that chapter will get to appear in the book.
That's exciting. I knew I'd heard rumours, and I knew a book was coming. So what a great chance to maybe give us a peek about what that chapter is. And you've obviously already done your homework to solidify what that chapter contains. I'd love, as I start on every episode of the podcast, I'd like to know something about your background prior to working with the Corrs and how you got into the position you were in the industry, where you were asked or you were approached or there was a chance meeting, as I've heard rumour on this occasion, to working with the Corrs themselves. Give us as detailed or as long or as succinct as you wish, but how did you get into that industry?
I was a big music fan from about 7, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something around then. Anyway, I saw the Beatles on TV, and from then on, it was just music. Long story short, I trained to be an architect, could not get a job, spent 3 months busking on the metro in Paris, came back to London, rang every record company I could find, and eventually I only had one name left on my list, and that was Stiff Records. And I got hired as the motorcycle messenger. While I was there, about a year after I started working at Stiff, which is the label that brought the world Ian Dury, Elvis Costello, Nick Lowe, Madness, etc. So after about a year or so working there, a new man arrived at Stiff, whose name was Andy Murray, who you've already interviewed.
We certainly have.
We became good friends, and we were in a band together called the Stiff All Stars for a number of years. And one thing led to another, and I started looking after videos for Stiff. Then I worked for Phonogram Records in London. And then in the space of about 8 weeks, I directed 4 videos, which all went international, which
Wow.
was the Band-Aid video, Do They Know It's Christmas? Shout for Tears for Fears, Everybody Wants to Rule the World for Tears for Fears, and Things Can Only Get Better for Howard Jones. So in the space of 2 months, I suddenly had a reel. And again, one thing led to another. And I moved to the States in 1985, and I've lived here ever since. I still was very much in touch with my pal Andy. And on one trip back to the UK, I think it might even have been the trip when I went back to shoot Wonderwall for Oasis. He said to me, "You should hear this album by my new favorite band," and it was the first Corrs album. So he gave me a copy, and I came back to the States, and I just couldn't stop playing it. I thought it was beautifully done, fantastically produced by David Foster, and one day on another trip back to the UK, I find myself standing behind a guy with a guitar case, and I'm thinking that looks like it could be Jim Corr. So I don't usually do this, introduce myself to strange people in bands I've not met. But anyway, we had a brief chat, and I said I knew Andy, who was his product manager. And then about a year later, I got a phone call. Would you like to shoot a video for Only When I Sleep? And I went on to do 4 videos for them.
Thank you. That's great background into what a mix. Architect, and then that's a huge. Did it feel like a slow journey, or did you just sort of find yourself in this next part of your life and your career, and you just went with the flow, or was it struggling?
Well, there was a lot of struggle because I was earning nothing, especially when I started at Stiff. I was earning £14 a week, and I had to buy my own motorcycle. There was not a lot of money around. It was certainly more money than I was earning playing my guitar on the metro in Paris. But yes, it was much to my parents' absolute horror that I was not following, the line towards respectability and, wife and 2 kids and a house in Hampstead or wherever. No, they were absolutely horrified. But yeah, I just had this huge love of music, and if I'd had my druthers, I would have gone to university and studied music, but that wasn't an option. There was not really a place I could do that. So nowadays that would be much easier. I'm sure we can probably take a degree in the music business or something, which of course is ironic, seeing as the music business has since imploded. But anyway, yeah, it was the minute I started working at Stiff, it was very hard work, but it was a lot of fun. You're one day you're driving Reckless Eric to the doctor. The next day you're pretending to be Uncle Sam in a photograph release for, Elena Lovitch record. And then, yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I loved it. And essentially I've been in that business now for, many decades. Let's leave it like that. So
Yeah.
if you're not enthusiastic about being in the business, in inverted commas, you shouldn't be in it. If you're not sort of fascinated about, oh, I didn't know this guitar player played on this track, and how come he's played with that band and he's also playing with this band? They're 2 completely different kinds of music. And then you realize that there really are just 2 types of music, good and bad. And you can everybody who you meet is fascinating on some level or another. I've written this book and it could have been twice as long, really, but the editor's been very careful to make sure it doesn't dawdle too much. We'll see what everybody thinks when it comes out.
I think there's definitely great riches of another nature when you're working in a field or in something or with something that you're passionate about. That's where, when your heart and soul can be in it, as long as you can pay the bills just about, everything else works out. That's definitely a theme that's come through a lot of the interviews that I've had for this album specifically. This season being focused on Talk on Corners. There's obviously their second album. But you said you'd already heard, because of Andy, thank you, Andy, The Forgiven Not Forgotten. What was it that drew you to that album? You said that it's, is well produced. Was it a standout album for you at the time?
Yeah, it still is. I mean, it's, and I'm a fan of metal pop, not jazz. I'm not very much of a jazzer, but yeah, I mean, I've got, CDs and albums and 7-inch records and whatnot from all corners of the industry. So, I mean, the thing that I thought was great about it, the songs were really good pop songs, and you've got this extraordinary instrumentation. You've got the little penny flute that Andrea plays, mixed with quite heavy guitars, and then in the middle, you've got this 2 instrumentals which start out very beautifully, and they're absolutely just foot tapping. And I mean, it's a real, certainly that first album is a very eclectic on some level, plus the Irish songs with the sort of the rock and roll and just sheer pop. And it was just, it just really caught my attention, and I still play it, certainly, 5 or 6 songs off that album very frequently. And it's beautifully put together. It's exactly what a great album should be.
I wholeheartedly agree, and you are definitely preaching to the crowd for this guy, as well as those that are listening, who have a huge fondness for that first breakthrough album. So prior to filming Only When I Sleep, what were some of, I guess, the more large clientele that you'd worked with or worked for?
Well, before that, I'd done the first 5 Guns N' Roses videos. I did an entire album of stuff for Tears for Fears. I did the songs from the big Cher album. So I did, I don't know, 4 or 5 videos from that album. And then I shot an entire concert for them and essentially did a sort of documentary. That became a documentary piece. I mean, you have to look at my website.
Sure, there's an amazing extensive list there with a breakdown.
Yeah, I mean, I've done over 450 videos now, so sometimes I actually have to go back to my own website to figure out, what I did when, because it all molds into one, long run of people. But I've been extremely lucky to work with a lot of great artists, one of which is Cher, whose 80th birthday is today.
Correct. Yes. Happy birthday, Cher. And yeah, you worked on the Believe single.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautifully shot.
Thank you.
Beautiful work. Only
When I Sleep. Was that the first single off Talk on Corners?
Correct. It was. Yes.
Really? That's good to know.
Yeah.
I guess somehow it got back through the channels that I, really enjoyed the album. It came together very quickly, as at least 2 of these videos that I did for them came together. And I guess they happened to be in LA. I guess they were doing promotion or doing something or whatever. And so I lived in LA at that time. So I just went to meet them at their hotel in Santa Monica. And the budget wasn't terribly big. So I had to come up with a fairly simple idea. And, it was done in one day.
Wow.
And like I say, I remember the budget not being terribly big.
Off the top of your head, if it's not big, what would that figure be?
I want to say it was 100 or 150,000. At the time, I was told by my rep I should never, ever, ever take on a job which was less than 300,000. And though that may seem like a fortune today, and it still is, at that time, the industry, if you were an artist starting out, certainly in the US, the budget for your first video would be 300,000. So you were competing against everybody else. Of
Yeah.
course, now it's 3,000. But that's a different,
If you're
that's a
lucky.
different story. So, I mean, when I was offered the chance, I really wanted to do it. So I can't really remember the details, but I'd seen the videos for the first album, and they were very nicely done, but I didn't feel captured who they were. Of course, I hadn't met them at this point, so how I could have the balls to have this attitude about what they should be in their video is another question.
That's really interesting. That's a really interesting thought. Yeah.
I mean, I just felt I could do better. Whether I did do better, I leave everybody to make their mind up. But and the thing that I learned very quickly making that first video was that at some point in the video, you had to show all three sisters together, because as their sisters, you can, if you're not paying attention and if you're a new fan, you kind of assume that Sharon is Andrea, is Caroline, it's so,
Yeah.
I mean, on the set, once you're looking at them just in a solo shot, you're going, well, I know it's Andrea because I've become a fan, but if you're watching them for the first time, you really want to get across the fact that they're three individual ladies and Jim, their brother. So, and I think was probably the first time I'd ever shot a video with at least two family members, but to have four family members was quite interesting. And I remember saying to them, "Oh, it must be great for you guys to tour the world all together. You all being brothers and sisters." And they all rolled their eyes and said, "Well, not really." 'Cause it's like we can't get away from each other. And God bless them. Actually, in my experience over 4 videos, they were wonderful with each other. Because I've worked with bands where there are brothers together and whatnot, and it can be very difficult, very difficult. It was never difficult with them. They were always lovely to work with.
Obviously, Andy knows what you've done prior. The Corrs would have had a peek and, Nigel, let's have a look, see what he's done. I'm sure there was an excitement to work with you on this brand new project. And you've already confessed that you think you can do better, which, I think a lot of fans that are still fans today, their first touch base with this band was through those music videos that were throughout MTV and were played on stations all over the world repeatedly. It didn't go on to sell multi-platinum figures without those. Tell me what it was like. You're loving the first album. You've agreed to do this job at a significant half the rate that you've really been told to, because you're a fan, because you think you could really give something to this artist, and working with them would be a joy. What was that first meeting like? Did you have some ideas that you'd sketched out in your mind about what you can do with that kind of budget? Or did they come with some input themselves about how they would like to be perceived?
It's very hurried. I guess if I was meeting the band, that I'd already submitted a treatment and it was essentially approved. And really the meeting was a meeting / wardrobe fitting. So I don't remember it being longer than like an hour or an hour and a half. It's like, hi, and it was obviously a lot was going on. There was no sort of sitting down and earnest, what's going to happen here or any of that. It was like, hello, nice to meet you. Yeah, well, I don't fancy the blue frock. I'll take the green one. It was a bit more like that. And so you're trying to do a number of things in a short period of time, which is say hello, I'm a nice guy, I'm going to look after you, I know what I'm doing. Can you show up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning with your game face on, and how long do you want to go through makeup? And I'm sure having 3 ladies on set, it's quite common when you're shooting something like that to go through hair and makeup for the star person, especially if it's female. 3 hours is normal. So I'm guessing I should have looked at my call sheet, but I I'm sure there must have been a bit of a panic in the hair and makeup department. But of course, with them, they're gorgeous anyway, so there's not really that much to be
Sure.
done. But even so, you have to prep them for camera. Yeah, and so it's like, well, that's what we're doing. I'm glad you're happy with the clothes. I'll see you first thing tomorrow morning, and then
Wow.
because at some
So it was next day. You met them day one, and then next day. Wow.
oh, it was the next day. That's hey, sometimes you only get to meet them the morning of the shoot, and you've never even spoken to them on the phone. So you actually meet them as they arrive in their tracksuit, with their
Yeah.
hair up and, yeah, whatever. Who are you? They become more friendly with the AD, the assistant director, because he's
Of course.
talking to them most. And in a couple of occasions, I've actually met the person as they've walked on set. And so yes, this sort of sense that you've been hanging out and you've become good mates is BS really. And
Yeah.
so your social graces are very important. That you want to meet them and walk away 30 minutes later with them going, okay, well that's okay. Tomorrow's going to be okay. I can worry about what's happening on Friday now. So yeah, that's what happened. The thing that I remember most about the day of the shoot was that Andrea seemed, I don't know how to explain it, but she seemed quite shy and girly in that, she seemed like a 12-year-old almost. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. How am I going to get around this? And the first shot I did with Andrea was her against the wall where she does her key vocal stuff.
Yeah.
And she was literally sucking her thumb. And I thought, uh-oh, I'm not going to be able to pull this off. And I didn't say anything. I thought, well, we'll go for a take and we'll see what happens. And okay, everybody ready? Quiet, please. Roll playback, roll the camera. And the minute the music started, she turned into this incredibly sexy girl. In literally the minute that first beat came, it was like, wow, okay, this is going to be great. Literally, I didn't have to, and then I said, well, perhaps you could use the wall as a prop. And suddenly she's like crawling all over it like a sex goddess. And and you're going, okay, so this is fantastic. This is going to work. Because being a guy directing a girl in a scene, or a young lady, rather, I should say, you don't want to be saying, get sexy or whatever.
No.
You want to put those in that, not order, but suggestion in a way which suggests where you'd like them to go, but doesn't come out sounding like a dirty old man. And I didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
She was just gorgeous and appealing, and I went, okay, this is great. And Sharon and Caroline were the same. They're a lovely family, and I never got to meet the parents, but it says a lot about their mum and dad, I think, that they're so well adjusted. And I'll tell you when you ask me about what can I do, there was a wonderful moment there as well. So they're apart from anything else, they're lovely people. And throughout my career, I've worked with some real assholes. So it's wonderful to walk away and just think, well, they're good people, and I wish them the best.
That's wonderful to hear. And it's definitely a sentiment that's been reflected by dozens of now people I've interviewed and that have worked alongside them. So it's a real testament, like you say, to their incredible family, and to them as people to keep level-headed and just still be able to do what they love without having to oversell themselves or to be disrespectful for others to feel like they need to get their own way. It's wonderful. You mentioned about a call sheet. Is there a workbook for the shoot itself?
Well, what you do is, at least what you did back then, I do a lot of work directly with artists now. They approach me personally. I haven't actually had to deal with a record company for quite a while. What used to happen was that you would write a treatment, which could be 2 or 3 pages long. Eventually, you would start including pictures with that once the technology went further, and you could pull pictures off Google Images or whatever.
Sure.
And at its worst, it got to the point where a record executive said to me, I don't actually read the treatments, I just look at the pictures. And if the pictures are nice, then I give that person the job. And it's like, do you know how much fucking time I spend writing treatments? Anyway, so you write a treatment, you send it off, the job gets awarded if you're lucky, and then you go and find a location, you scout the location. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, your production people, your producer and your production manager creates a production package.
Yeah.
So the first page will have the Corrs, Only When I Sleep, shoot date, whatever it is, and maybe, as if you're pumping up the director's ego, let's say directed by Nigel Dick.
Sure.
Then you turn over to the next page and there's a list of everybody's name and phone number. So you have a list of the camera, the director of photography, the producer, the production manager, literally everybody on set with their information, phone number, what they do, blah, blah, blah. And then you'll turn to the next page and it'll be a list of the artist, who's playing in the band, what they do, who their contact person is, their manager, yada, yada, yada. And then there'll be your treatment, and then maybe a schedule, saying shoot day on Monday, transfer the film on Tuesday, start editing on Wednesday, deliver the following Wednesday, changes, and then the final date that it has to be delivered, which certainly, and as we'll get to What Can I Do in a minute, was quite a schedule. There's this production package, which I've tried to keep the production package for all of my jobs, which is now a vast library in my garage of an entire bookcase of 800 jobs.
One of the reasons I ask is trying to nail down the exact date that Only When I Sleep was filmed. I believe it was September 97, but I don't have an exact date. So anything that you have, even the front page of that booklet, would be amazing to see.
This job was it was in 1997, so I'm going to 1997. And scrolling down, the Corrs, Only When I Sleep, 12th of September, 1997.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for clarification on that.
And there's even a short list of who worked on the job.
How about the whole sort of recce side of where it was shot? Obviously, this was shot at the Alexandria Hotel. Had you passed it before? Was there why there and why you? And
basically, you say we're going to do it in this kind of place, blah blah blah, and then once the job is awarded, you have a location scout, somebody whose job is just to go and look at locations. So I guess the location scout was given the treatment, and he or she said there's 4 or 5 places we should look at. So we all jump in a car and we spend the day driving around looking at places. And I think I might have actually seen the Alexandria Hotel before, but not shot there. And it was a pretty crummy hotel downtown LA, but had this wonderful texture and this fantastic ballroom, which is where they sit on the sofa and whatnot. And so you go in there and you go, yep, this is going to work. Okay, we'll shoot something here, and something here. Then you have the rest of the day off and you do other business. And then another day you all come back with the cameraman, the grip, the chief electrician, the 2 or 3 people from production. And while I am saying to the director of photography, all right, I want to shoot over here, and we'll see the windows in the background. The production people are going downstairs and figuring out where all the trucks are going to be parked, and they're filing a permit so we can put all the, basically we have permission to shoot there. And then the AD, the assistant director, is also there, and he or she says, all right, if we're going to shoot in the ballroom and you're going to see those windows in the background, you want it to be day, correct? And you say yes, at which point the director of photography says, but I don't want to be here in the afternoon because the sun will be coming right down there, bouncing across that building, across the street, and I'll be blasted by light. So by that point, you know that you have to do all that stuff with them in the morning, which means you cannot be in there after lunch, which means the band has to be here on time, and they have to go through hair and makeup and be on set by 9 o'clock, which means that if they're staying in Santa Monica, which is an hour's drive away, they've got to get up at 4 o'clock instead of 5 o'clock, so, and it goes on and on and on. And then I know Caroline's drumming was done downstairs, I think.
Was there any drumming in the ballroom? I can't remember.
I think maybe a bit. But her key stuff is done downstairs. So it's like, well, that's in the darkness. So obviously that can be done anytime. And then you figure out the fact that as you've got 3 women going through hair and makeup, it's probably impossible to get them all done for a particular time. So you choose which one will come off the production line first. Yeah, I mean, it's a hellacious process that you think, well, everybody just walks out and plays once and goes home. No.
That's a lovely insight into the chess that music videos really is, or needed to be.
Well, filming generally, I mean, it's really no different than making a movie or a TV show, in that, the poor ladies have to be there 3 hours before all the actors because of the time it takes to, especially if they're the key artist. And the guy comes in and, does this and, should I didn't shave this morning. Do you want me to shave?
Yeah.
And you go, no, it looks great like that. And they've spent 10 minutes. And meanwhile, the poor ladies are like, what the God damn it.
Yeah, that's labour. It's
that hard work.
Industry.
It's hard work being glamorous.
Am I right in saying that also some of the scenes were shot in what's commonly known as the Valentino suite?
I guess so. I mean, you've obviously done more research about this than I can remember, but it's a room which has been used in lots of jobs upstairs because it had flock wallpaper or whatever they call it.
That's it.
As I remember, and I'm sure it's even worse now if the hotel is still there, it was actually quite tatty. But that's the thing about all this stuff. When if you light it nicely and there's a gorgeous girl in front of the lens, you're not really paying that much attention to the fact that the wallpaper's all ripped up in the background.
Yeah.
And if it is, maybe that's part of the look you're going for. I mean, especially if you're working in Hollywood, every place you go has been in, 20 commercials and 10 movies and 30 videos. I mean, after a while, you go to the movies to watch a film, and they're like, all right, we're going to go through the Mexican border now. And you go, that's not the Mexican border. That's 3rd Street, the junction with whatever. You start and eventually you're seeing some fabulously expensive, Mission Impossible or something. And you go, yeah, I shot Bullet Boys there. I shot, you can list the number of people you've got in that location.
a huge creative industry and a crowded need to find places. There's only a limited amount.
Well, some people, if you've got a crappy location, that's what you do for a living. You rent it out to film.
True.
And you go there, and the guy who runs the location says, yeah, the grip truck always parks there, Spark Electric over there, blah, blah, blah. Catering, there's this room over here I've already got the tables in there. And yeah, there you go.
A well-ironed living machine, definitely. The hotel still is there. It's been revamped quite a bit since you shot there for this specific video. Interestingly enough, the main chair used in the ballroom and the bed are still there and were neglected for many, many years. But last year were actually reupholstered, and the room has been repainted. So it's been sort of glamorized to a degree, but the main sofa from the ballroom is now in the room where the bed was. So it's all together. So if anybody wants to have a look, I'll put notes in the show notes, and you can have a poke around in that specific room. The hotel will let you in.
I wonder if there's a list on the wall of all the videos and movies and stuff that were shot in that room. Yeah.
There should be. There should be. I mean, yeah, it must have amazing heritage over the many, many years.
Yeah.
I was able to interview Brenda Bergen regarding artistic direction of the look of the album. She was also present for the photo shoot of the album, cover artwork, etc., and booklet. And she designed the booklet layout and the font used and the logo. But she was also present at the Only When I Sleep video.
Really?
And she's given me some amazing stills. Would you like to see some of the photos?
Yeah, I'd love to see some of the photos.
Let's have a look. Let's see if I can press share.
There you go.
Isn't
Gorgeous
that incredible?
Shot. Lovely shot.
Oh, it's just, I'll throw you copies of these as well, because this is a testament to your work as much as anybody else's. But
well, a testament to the director of photography, lighting.
Yeah, the lighting was incredible. Absolutely, just perfection. And I think if I press that, it'll go to the next one.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? Literally 2 minutes before that, she was sucking her thumb like a 6-year-old.
And for those that are listening that obviously can't see this, a link will be given in the show notes for you to have a look at these images yourself. Jim in the corridor shot, just lovely stuff.
There's my amp on the ground.
That's your amp. I did wonder.
And I think the guitar is a guitar that I bought off Andy and then sold back to him.
I've seen him with that.
Yeah,
I've seen pictures of Andy with that.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's so funny. That's now in that music video.
Yeah. No, I always like to put, if they said, well, we don't have a guitar, it's like, well, I have 20 guitars. Perhaps you'd like to play one of mine.
Do you still have the amp?
Yeah, it's in the room behind me.
That's lovely. That's really nice.
It doesn't work anymore, though.
Oh.
Good for videos.
Yeah, I bet. A portrait shot of Sharon there. Gorgeous.
Is it slightly out of focus or? Yeah.
It is. It's slightly soft. Yeah, it's slightly soft. Some bigger ones. I think these are more ballroom, aren't they?
Yeah.
With a greater light. Yeah. Just random kind of not very focused at all. Just shot of Sharon in the corner.
Look at the wallpaper on the left.
I know, it's all rippling and the red wallpaper and then the light being in blue. It just gives it that odd kind of slightly ethereal edge to it, doesn't it? That purple. It's great. So yeah, there you go. That's all the images I have anyway. That gives you, cast your mind back at least. Was this shot on film? Yeah,
everything was shot on film until maybe 15 years ago. And this was shot on 16mm. So
beautiful.
Only Breathless was shot on 35 because the budget was much bigger on Breathless. Yeah, I mean, that means the image is tiny. So you can't get a sharpness with 16 that you could get with 35. It was just, astronomically more expensive to shoot with 35. So, which added a whole extra level of concern into a job because you did not really know what you were getting till the next day when you went to look at the transcript.
Wow.
I mean, whereas today, if you're on a job, you've got a bunch of clients sitting behind you and they say, play that last take back to us. Oh, I don't know if I like this on the left-hand side of the screen. And you're going, oh my God, we're going to be here all day or all night. You know,
Yeah.
what? So, yeah, it's an interesting part of the process.
One of the reasons I ask is obviously there's this what's now the common in the industry as a 4K treatment and a negative scan. From your understanding, would that be possible for this video?
I mean, here's the difference. That 16mm camera probably costs $60,000 or $70,000. Then the lenses were on top, and so you would rent them. The film, as I recall, a 400-foot load would last 11 minutes, and the film itself would be, I don't know, $150 or something. Then it would cost something, it would cost hundreds of dollars to develop it and transfer it to get 11 minutes of film. And probably on this particular video, we probably shot 10 or 12 rolls of film.
Wowzers.
So there's just the processing and developing and then transferring could probably cost $20,000 or $30,000, and the rental of the camera. In my house, I have 6 4K cameras, the cheapest of which would produce an image of far higher quality than those 16mm images. The camera itself is like $1,500, and it produces a 4K image. I bought an identical camera to that maybe 6 weeks ago, and that is 6K. So the size of the quality of the image is so much bigger. And you buy a card which has 250 gigs on it, which is this size. It's about the size of a small, poster basically. And that records 66 minutes at 4K.
Wow.
And then when you've downloaded that into your computer, you can use it again.
That's just such a wild world of a difference.
On one hand, it's so much cheaper now to shoot high quality footage. I mean, your phone can capture higher quality images and film, in inverted commas, than your professional 16mm camera and processing could 30 years ago.
Oh, it's just a mad technical leap, isn't it?
I'm no technician, but I have at my disposal something that filmmakers for the last 100 years would have, killed their mother to get a hold of.
So it would be technically possible in the archive somewhere to at least scan the negative to get more detail from that original film, do you think?
Well, yes, if you could find where the film is. Because here's what happens. Once a month or so, my phone will ring and I'll pick it up. Hi, you don't know me. My name's Jack Smith. I work for blah, blah, blah. We're trying to find the original footage, or, could you send us the dailies? There, 2 or 3 years ago, over a period of 6 months, I got 3 different phone calls from people in London who are working on the Oasis documentary. And they would ring up and they say, we're making a documentary about Oasis. Can you please send us the dailies? Well, firstly, I don't own them. They're owned by the record company. And I explained to them that when you did the whole job, you would get approval, the cut would be approved, you'd send them the master, and you'd send them all the dailies, and you would not get paid the final amount of money until they got all the pieces back. And the story I say is, have you ever seen Raiders of the Lost Ark? That final scene where the Ark is being pushed into a massive warehouse somewhere, that is where the dailies are. And in the case of that Oasis doc, they rang me 3 times. You don't understand. We need to get a hold of the dailies. What can you? And I'm like, no, sir.
What are you on about?
Don't understand. I don't have them. If I need to see this thing, I go on YouTube.
Literally.
And by the way, could you put a better quality copy of it up on YouTube? That Universal or Warner's or whoever it is That's where the stuff is. You've got to go there to find it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they've categorized it in that massive tomb somewhere, and they'll do it justice and rescan, and it'll just be, just to give further clarity of that would be
Dream on,
beautiful.
pal. Dream on.
Yeah. Just like you having their chapter chopped out of the American release of your book, I think it's very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Yeah, sadly.
Obviously, you said that you shot more film. Can you remember or give us any insights of other stuff that you tried that maybe didn't work, or that was decided, oh no, we definitely don't want that in, we'll have to scrub that out? Or was it fairly similar to what we've seen?
It's pretty much what you see. I once finished shooting a job and the client came up to me and said, about the edit, Nigel. And I said, yes, getting very defensive. And he said, use the good bits. And I walked away going like, for fuck's sake, I mean, really? I mean, and then I thought, well, he's right. You use the good bits. I mean, luckily in that video, it's not a story. There's no beginning, middle, and end. It's just a performance piece, beautifully shot. I hope you'll agree. And so,
it's tremendous.
So you just go through and you go, that bit, that's great, that moment there. And hopefully you've got more good bits than you actually require. So use the good bits.
Just dovetailing on Only When I Sleep as a video. So you've set forth your edit. What was the initial reaction?
Okay, thank you. There was no like, oh, this is amazing, they look great. It was just like, okay, thanks, next, bye.
Wow. Had you heard Only When I Sleep prior to making your treatment?
I think if it was the first single off the album was not available.
Yeah.
So you only get to hear it when they send you the track. Very occasionally, they'd be so nervous about the track getting out and getting to radio or whatever that you would have to go to the record label and they would play it to you in a sealed room you couldn't take your laptop or anything. So, which is very difficult because you've got 20 minutes to come up with an idea,
Talking of having short time periods to come up with ideas, walk us through the seemingly hell to begin, the What Can I Do music video. How did that begin?
So it began with me flying to New York to shoot a video for an English boy band or British boy band called Five. And I landed, got to my hotel. I guess I had an email from Andy, call me now. So I ring him up and it's like 10 o'clock at night in New York and I've just landed, I'm dying for a bite. It's like, what's going on? I'm sending you What Can I Do, which was the special mix, right?
Yeah.
Can you write me a treatment tonight? It's like, I just got off the damn, can it wait till tomorrow? No, you need to write it tonight. So I've got it tomorrow morning to take in and show to. It's like, okay.
Wow.
Can you shoot next Thursday in New Zealand? Well, I guess. Well, why? Well, they'll have finished their tour in New Zealand. They have a day off and then they fly out at 7 o'clock in the evening. Could you shoot a video? And of course, under these circumstances, when it's absolutely impossible, my natural reaction is to go, yeah, of course I can do that. So I said, yes,
nice.
Okay. So I ordered room service, the food came, and I'm playing it back in my room. And here's the other thing. Andy, myself, and another friend of mine had just been to New Zealand 6 weeks before. I'd always wanted to go to New Zealand, and I always hoped that somebody would send me there to do a job. And eventually I just gave up and said, to hell with it, I'll pay. So I flew to New Zealand, did a job that, cycled the entire length of the South Island. And while I was there, I'd seen some lovely photo books. So then I get back. Now it's 6 weeks later, I'm in New York and remembered this church, which is in the video, which I'd seen in some photos. So I decided to write an idea around the church, and the idea is the idea you see in the video. So I send him the treatment, He rings me the next day, says, "You got the job." So I'm like, bloody hell. In the next 2 days, I shoot 5.
Yeah.
Then I wake up the next morning, I fly back to LA, get back to LA, transfer the film that night in LA, get up the next morning, go to the airport, fly to New Zealand, which means you cross the international date line, so you've lost a day. So I land in New Zealand on Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, and meet, and of course I've been up for God knows how many hours. So I meet the producer who I've contacted in the meantime, or who my production company have contacted. So I meet a producer, literally at the airport, and we have a discussion. This is who I suggest is your director of photography. Oh no, I rang the friend of mine who shot the 5 video in New York, and I said, "What are you doing next Thursday?" He says, "No, I'm not. I don't think I've got anything on." I said, "All right, we'll get your passport because you'll be in New Zealand." So anyway, and I think Russ landed that afternoon that I landed in New Zealand. So the producer in New Zealand said, "We found the church. It's available. We'll go and scout it tomorrow morning," which is the day before the shoot. So we get in a car, and it's an hour's drive south of Auckland. We get there and we're like, okay, we can put the car here, we can do this there, we can do that there, blah, blah, blah. I think the bath was actually in the grass. And I was like, okay, I'll be using that. And then we get back in the car and we drive back to Auckland. And that evening, the Corrs are playing their final date of their Australian, New Zealand, South Asia tour.
Yeah.
So I get to see the band, backstage after the gig. After the gig, they do their wardrobe fitting. And by now and of course they're all hot and sweaty, and it's now 11 o'clock at night. And what are we doing? Well, here's the treatment, but I think you guys need to go to bed because I want to have you on set at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. So, which means you're going to have 5 hours sleep by the time you got back to your hotel. Yeah. And anybody who's ever done a gig will tell you that the one thing you can't do after a gig is go to sleep because you're really, really
just wired. Yeah.
So then, and I'm staying with friends of mine who lived at the time in Auckland. So then the following morning, we're all an hour south of Auckland at 5 o'clock in the morning. And this image I have, which I was hinting at earlier, is of the 3 girls, Andrea, Sharon, and Caroline, in the middle of the road, all cross-legged, sitting on the floor in the darkness, eating cornflakes. I mean, they were just sitting in a circle in the darkness, waiting for the dawn and to go through hair and makeup. And, it's literally 6 days or something since I was in New York and they were on stage in Australia or somewhere. And then we start shooting. The minute the dawn comes up, we start shooting, and that stuff with the car and the little telephone box.
Yeah.
And then it starts pissing with rain.
Oh no.
Like, oh my God, this is terrible, because I have to let them go at 5 o'clock so they can get to the airport in time to get on the plane to fly back to London. So we the producer and the DP and whatnot are saying, well, we've got to stop, it's pissing with rain. And it's like, guys, I'm not going to get the job done. And then the rain stops and the sun comes out. Okay, great. And then the wind comes.
Go.
And then it's windy for the rest of the day because we're way south, and we're like, I don't know, very close to the sea. And the wind is actually part of the video, really, if you look at it.
Yeah.
And then at 4:55, there's a big black car waiting to take him to the airport to fly back to London. And the reason they had to capture that flight back to London, they could not delay it, is because when they landed in London, they were being taken straight from the airport to some kind of press release, blah, de blah. So if you ever see in the newspaper people, superstars arriving at the airport wearing shades, looking, it's because they've been in the plane for 17 hours. And now they have to go in front of their public, and So all power to the four of them. They just did it. No complaints. Okay, Nigel,
Amazing.
cheerio, we've got to leave now. Bye. And they're off to the airport. And they're probably flying first class, so it was a bit easier. But
Sure.
I've done so many jobs like that where you fly halfway around the world and you get off the plane and you go straight to work. And on one occasion, quite literally, I was having a meeting with the director of photography, and suddenly I wake up and hang on, I'm on the sofa, and where's the director of photography gone? Oh, you fell asleep in the middle of a conversation with him an hour and a half ago. And you're going, well, I
Wow.
guess I have been up for 37 hours. So,
What a life.
it's, it's so glamorous. No, it isn't.
The girls look glamorous. The video is incredible. It is beautiful. And it almost harkens back to sort of Irish. And there's somehow an Irish feel, even though it's not Ireland, which is wonderful.
I noticed yesterday that What Can I Do on YouTube has the note directed by Catherine Finkenstadt. And Catherine was actually my exec producer on that job. And she's a fantastic person, lovely lady, was a great producer. And I find it intriguing that she's got the credit for the direction on that video, but I was actually the director. But you know what? Catherine did some fantastic work for me, and for many other people. So I'm happy that she's got the credit, even though I didn't.
I wonder who made the slip up there.
Whoever's put it up on the web, whatever.
The girls are, I guess, noticeably dressed down. With it's jeans and a t-shirt and a cowboy hat. Is that your choice or wardrobe, or how did that come about?
I want to say that it was a decision by me to sort of go anti-glamour.
Yeah.
Because they can pull it off. I mean, you could put them in like they've been painting the wall of their house and they're covered in paint and they'd still look lovely. Obviously, if you've been wearing super glamour out there, it would have. The little bit of the story is that somehow their car has broken down and they're stranded in the middle of God knows where. So they're just going to play the song. And I think it works and it shows another side of them.
At this point, does it harken back to that you wanting to do better for this band and knowing you could do better for this band when it came to the music videos? Do you feel like you'd done that with the video before, Only When I Sleep, and that you are now bettering it again with What Can I Do? Or are you still striving for that feeling to be matched?
Well, I think there's a common misconception amongst many people that sometimes you try hard and sometimes you're just walking through it. I remember on a job, the client, I think the band's managers, watching me shoot the footage, and he comes up to me and he says, "Is this one going to be an award winner?" And it's like, I haven't got a clue, Well, I mean, are you? He's questioning my commitment to the job.
Yeah.
And my response to that is, every job is really important to me. I cannot tell you if it's going to be an award winner or whatever. All I can tell you is I'm doing my level best and I'm trying to do the best for the artist. Essentially, I'm making a commercial here. It's not a yogurt or a washing system. It's for people who make music, and I want to do the best for them. And like it or love it, I have a certain approach to doing things. And hopefully, the reason you've hired me is because you support that approach and you trust me. And on this occasion, Carolina said, I want to wear a cowboy hat. And you look gorgeous, darling. Fantastic. Let's go with that. So you're flying by the seat of your pants, but I learned fairly early on in my career that I have to go with my gut. And over a period of a lot of work, people have learned to trust my gut. So I must trust it as well. And occasionally you get it wrong. If I've worked with the Corrs, I've worked with Black Sabbath. Do you think decisions I make for the Ronnie James Dio version of Black Sabbath, and by the way, Ozzy, who I've worked with a couple of times, do you think decisions I make for those artists are appropriate for the Corrs? No. I have to be aware of, I listened to that first album endlessly and still do. That makes a statement about who they are musically. And it's my job somehow to translate that into a palatable set of pictures for people to embrace on MTV back then and on the web now.
Are you happy with how it came out?
Well, you
absolutely sold and you stand by it.
A, you've captured a moment in time, and B, though you can't tell people that, it's a reflection of the logistics. Can you be on the other side of the world next Thursday, ready to shoot a video for this very important artist who is at a crucial part of their career? So this is a very good example of how the logistics define the creative part. And luckily, I'd just been there 6 weeks before. So
you did your own recce.
Yeah, I'd done a recce basically. And I'd seen this book with this church in, and I knew it was fairly close to Auckland, because I can remember asking, oh, that's nice. I like that. Where's that? Oh, it's about an hour south of here. And so from that one picture, because I'm sitting in my hotel room in New York. I've got 90 minutes to come up with an idea, write it out and send it off, because I have to go to bed because I've got to get up early tomorrow morning to do a scout for the video I'm shooting the day after tomorrow.
I'd love to ask about your book.
Yes.
When is that due to be out?
Thank you for asking. It's going to be released on September the 15th of this year.
And what have you decided to title it?
Its title is Music Video Mischief. So it's being published by Trouser Press Books out of New York, who mostly do music stuff. It's available on Amazon now. You can pre-order it. Choosing a title was a nightmare. And Ira Robbins, who's the editor and owns Trouser Press Books, said to me, it has to have video in the title, because that's what I do. A lot of people don't know who I am, which is fine. And it's a compromise, but it's a compromise that I accepted the title because it had mischief in it.
They let you have that bit, yeah.
Yeah, so he got music video and I got mischief. So, there you have it.
Wonderful. I look forward to pre-ordering that and delving into countless stories you must have. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. There'll be a link to find where you can pre-order it or read it by the time you're listening to it, whichever, in the show notes as well. Obviously, this season for this podcast is focused on Talking Corners, their second album, but you went on to work with the band subsequently for 2 other music videos. I'd love the opportunity to circle back round as and when the time may be appropriate to talk further about those other videos, if you're willing.
Sure. Breathless has quite a story attached, and Angel has a story too.
Nigel, it's been truly wonderful to be able to take some of your time. Thank you so much for being so kind with your time and being so detailed on your recollections of shooting these 2 amazing videos for the band.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for asking me. And I hope I haven't ruined the secrets of making these videos, which were obviously a lot of fun. Yes, I look forward to telling you what I think of Breathless and what happened.
I'm super intrigued. I know some bits about it, so we're going to hold that thought. We're going to pause that, and like I said, we'll circle back round.
All
so
right.
Thank you again so much.
Okay, no.
Cheers, Nigel.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Cheers. Bye.
Another thanks to Nigel for letting us peer behind the curtain of the multifaceted team it took to bring these now iconic music videos together. Please check the show notes for links to images taken on the set of Only When I Sleep and the production workbook and Polaroids for What Can I Do. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider helping with its running costs over at patreon.com/CorrsCast. It's been wonderful to recently have a number of previously interviewed guests now also pledge their support. If supporting financially isn't your thing, even a review on the platform you're listening on would be helpful in spreading the work to others. If you're listening on the YouTube version of the show, please like, share, and subscribe. The show now has listeners in over 100 different countries, totaling well over 20,000 listens between them. This goes to further prove the worldwide appeal for the band's music is still very much alive. I can't wait to see how this grows further as the seasons progress. When the time is right, I will endeavour to chat with Nigel Dick again in the future about his work on the videos for Breathless and then Angel. Before then, there is still more episodes of this season, which is focused on Talk on Corners, to yet research and complete. Until next time, thank you for listening and keep on coring. I think it was 2007 I reached out to you and was a crazy fan back then as well. And I was like, I'm going to Ireland. Where was this video shot? I'd love to visit. And you were so kind. You wrote back an email and you didn't poo-poo it. You were just like, hi, I don't think it's the same owner, but actually it was shot here in Roundwood. Good luck. And by hook or by crook, I got there and visited the property before the ownership changed. It was a lovely experience. I experienced it in winter of all. So it was a real contrast, but it was beautiful. So thank you for being so kind back then, and again, obviously being so kind for coming on today.
Pleasure.